Hey guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're all having a spectacular day. And another day in crazy world, so I hope you are all doing fine with the situation. And just thought I'd bring you a bit of reprise and we'd have a look at I've got a couple of things today. I've got this chapel, cathedral building type structure. Now this was sent to me by Kai. Thanks, Kai. This is in Helsinki. This is in Trove Jansen Park. Now I believe that the park was dedicated as Trove Jansen Park not that long ago, but this building has obviously been there a bit longer. And look where it's sitting. That's as far as I can zoom in, unfortunately, but look at this. It's sitting on this wall that seems to go straight down. And this looks like what's that? The top of a cliff or a mountain or something? So, and you know, up on a mound, you can see the steps here. They're always up on mounds, right? Because there's stuff under the ground. You know, so the question with this, apart from the fact, I mean, look at the copper roof on it and all the antiquitech and all the onions and the nice big cross up here. And, you know, the oversizedness of it. You can see the windows down here going straight into the ground and front door on the upper level. But did this used to be up high off the ground? You know, how much of these buildings, or especially these buildings, is under the ground? Because as you can see, these are mud flooded. See that window there? Look, there's nothing here. This is ground level. Then we've got steps going up. Then we've got little window bigger and bigger as it goes down. Same thing here. Windows very close to the ground. So how much of this building is under the ground? And so was this sitting up on on the top of like a mountainy type thing, as we see so many of these structures doing? I don't know. Just a question. Now, I also found, whoops, what did I find? I found something. This is it again. As you can see, you know, right up off the ground. I mean, how many steps is that? That's quite a few steps. Oh, no, okay, that's not a very big picture. But yeah, you can see like how high this is off the ground. And look at this. I mean, how's that for a dead giveaway? The building actually comes down all the way down to here. Alright, look at that. This roof line here, you know, it's only just above the ground. So how much more is under the ground? You know, and we see things everywhere which look like just the top of this sort of tower bit. It's just sticking out of the ground. But how much is underneath that? You don't just build a random tower. It looks like it's coming, you know, when we look at the other old world buildings, these are all coming off the top of them. They don't come out of the ground. Here's just an old picture, and you can see these old world huge buildings in the background. Mud flutters. This is all in Helsinki. And it's the same stuff as we see everywhere. Domes, mud flutters, spires, symmetry. Again, steps going up. And you can see these little vents they put in. They put those in because there's a level underneath this building, or levels. And they need to vent them with air so they don't get full of mold and all this kind of stuff and make the whole building unlivable. So this is Trove Jansen. It's an interesting gravestone. That could be described as a cherub, maybe. A cherub sitting on an antiquitech ball. Very interesting. Another mud flutter. And this isn't a mud flood site. This is just a site about Helsinki. But look at them. Look at this. So yeah, Trove Tove Jansen Park. And this is all Helsinki as well. Here's another shot of it. See up on the rock? See how it's sitting up there? I think that's the biggest we can get, but I don't know. Just look, and then you can just see like this angle going straight down into the ground, and then we've got another level down here. So what is going on there? Here's another shot of Helsinki. No, it's not. Oh, it looks cold in Helsinki. And this has been mentioned. I heard John Levi mention it, that you often see this one dome in the middle with 4 domes around the outside. Now, as I mentioned to Martin, I think if you look at this from above, if you imagine you've got the helicopter view and you're looking down, you have a circle in the middle and 4 circles around the outside in a square. You know, you join them up and that's a pyramid. You know, if you take the point, right? It's a pyramid. So are these all working? And I'm not trying to suggest that, you know, this is some kind of cabal manufactured, designed and built thing. That these, you know, the cabal are clearly trying to destroy these buildings. I've only just noticed what's underneath. Look at that. That's just underneath this thing. You know, and again, how often do we see things that just look like the top of this, but they may have this underneath them? But yeah, no, I'm not suggesting that this is, you know, a cabal pyramid, but energy-wise, look at the tops of these antennas. Are they all forming some kind of big energy vortex pyramidy thing, you know, so they're all utilized? It's sort of components dragging the energy down. Don't know. That's a great building though, isn't it? Look at, I can't believe that building underneath it. It's like one of the huge Parliament buildings, and then we've got this sat on top of it. It looks like a rocket ship. And then of course, as we saw just the other day, where were we? In Sweden? You know, same thing. Buildings right up to the shoreline, and the shoreline is man-made of stone. And no doubt most of these are mud-flooded too. Now, I just wanted to share this site as well. This is called targetedindividuals.com. And this is a section, I'll leave the links for all this below. This is a section on Tartaria, CIA document from 1957. Or let us take the matter of history, which, along with religion, language, and literature, constitute the core of a people's cultural heritage. Here again, the communists have inferred in a shameless manner. For example, on 9 August 1944, the Central Committee of the Communist Party sitting in Moscow issued a directive ordering the party's Tatar Provincial Committee to proceed in a scientific revision of the history of Tartaria, to liquidate serious shortcomings and mistakes of a nationalistic character committed by individual writers and historians in dealing with Tatar history. In other words, Tatar history was to be rewritten. Let us be frank, what was to be falsified in order to eliminate references to great Russian aggressors or aggressions, and to hide the facts of the real course of the Tatar-Russia relations. And this was no isolated case. In every Muslim area within the USSR, historians on orders of the Communist Party have rewritten history to distort the facts so that the Russians appear always in a good light. Needless to say, histories which present the facts truthfully have been withdrawn and destroyed, so that the present and future generations of Muslims are forever denied the chance of learning the true facts of their nation's past. So there you go. What do you think of that? That's apparently a CIA document interesting that they use the word Muslim. Now, basically, most Muslims sort of, the culture, you know, as far as the architecture and all that kind of stuff, the clothing, is basically what we would call Moorish. Just, you know, the names have been changed to protect the guilty. So, are they saying that these are Moorish people, which could also, you know, if you go up, you know, Chinese Tartary and Cathay, you know, were they more Moorish people? So I don't know what this is exactly why they're using the word Muslims, but they're using Muslims basically as Tartars, but from what I can get from this little piece of script. So interesting. So yeah, what do you think about that? What, you know, is this Moors? Are the Moors exactly the same as the Tartars? Because they look the same. Obviously they're slightly different, you know, in the architecture, slightly, but not much. Yeah, but interesting. But this is a really interesting site. As you can see, there's heaps of stuff down the side here as well. All about how they go around blacklisting people. We've got, you know, vaccines and human predation, and watch lists, gang stalking, mind control, electromagnetic grids, surveillance states, psyops. So lots of interesting stuff here, and a couple of links to some videos. New Earth channel. If you have not checked out New Earth channel, definitely go and do it. That's the channel that woke me up, got me onto Tartaria, and, you know, everything Star Forts, Mudflood, all that kind of stuff, you know, sort of 6 or 7 years ago. She still does amazing work, and she's been, you know, completely hammered by YouTube, of course. So get out there and support her. Check out her work. Crow House, that's Max Eigen. He's got some great content. He's got a good video. I think one of his videos is down here on Tartaria. Observation deck, always good. Haven't heard of Europa, but there are some good videos down here. So like I said, I'll leave the link and you can sort of go through it. These look like they're links to Stolen History. Now, stolenhistory.org is an awesome site as well. We'll just see where that takes us. And then it gets into the whole sort of how this really is, you know, the destruction of Tartaria is really like you know, it's a new world order destroying the old world order. So it's very, you know, George Orwell. The most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history. George Orwell. Now, what do we talk about so often with orphan trains and history resets? Okay, deny and obliterate the understanding of history. Orphan trains would pretty much do that. Power is in tearing human minds to pieces and putting them together again in new shapes of your own choosing. George Orwell. Again, they've rewritten our history. They make us think up is down and left is right. You know, good is bad. I mean, just look at who's in control at the moment and what's going on in the world right now. Okay, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? A people that elect corrupt politicians, imposters, thieves and traitors are not victims but accomplices. George Orwell. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. One of my philosophies of life is, you know, that if you sit around pointing at the world and blaming the world, all you're doing is bringing more of that energy and more of those experiences back towards you, and you're being a victim. So what it's saying here is, if you're just going to blindly live your life, not think, and then just vote these people into power, you can't then complain when things go bad. I myself haven't voted for over a decade just because there's no one I'm going to give my vote to. You know, voting is adherence, right? It's compliance. It's saying, yep, I agree with this, and I don't. So, but this is the thing, and this is what's happening at the moment. Again, like this is all playing out right now, guys. This, like, what's going on in the world at the moment is pretty amazing. Obviously, I can't say too much, because the fact checkers at YouTube may be listening in, but yeah, some good quotes here from George Orwell. If you want a picture of the future, well, we've all heard that. This is what they want, obviously. that's not going to happen. That they have failed. The Tartarian Empire by the 1800s consisted of Europe, Asia, Russia, South and North America, and so many other land masses. The Tartaria Empire and the mystery as to why it has been expunged from the history books is a discovery that is really only now being truly understood. Our New Earth channel on YouTube is forging the path, and she definitely is. Sylvie from New Earth channel. Understanding why Tartaria was destroyed, by whom and why, putting together the pieces of the puzzle is still an ongoing hypothesis. Researchers must work together to connect the dots. Yes, we all need to work together to connect the dots. There's a good bit I'm just looking for down here. By the end of World War I, by 1920, the British elite Talmudic Empire had accomplished another goal in their attempts towards global domination. In 1945, and by the way, YouTube, I'm just reading this, not necessarily my opinions. By 1945 and the end of World War II, which was a war that was still being waged against Tartaria, this had resulted in the complete elimination of the old guard of Tartaria, and the old world order was effectively destroyed. Now, I've thought about this often. The wars, the wars, we're always told that the 20th century, last century, was the most warring century ever. I don't know if that's true or not, but there definitely was a lot of, they tell us wars, but if you look at it, was it really just one war? Because, I mean, these world wars, they were all in Europe, right? And what were they doing in Europe? I mean, you've probably seen and heard of Dresden in Germany. Tartarian city completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. And at one stage, we hear about the battle, the bombing of Britain, where Germany came across and was bombing Britain. At one stage in the war, Germany was being bombed at the same time by, I can't remember the number, but it was over 10 countries. Like over 10 countries, all at once, were blowing the crap out of Germany. So what was really going on there? We've all heard the stories, of bloodlines and who may have been connected to who. But, that's the thing. World War I and II, were they just continuations of this destruction of Tartaria? This old world that's been, taken from us and all the knowledge, and it's still around us. You see, if this happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago, they would have wiped everything out. But if you think they were still going for it in the 40s, last century, 80 years ago, then we would still have lots left, because obviously they didn't get war into every single country and destroy every single city. So is this just one big, continuation of whatever happened and started back in World War Zero, right? The 1700s. There was a massive war with every country and continent except Antarctica involved. So yeah, that's the bit I wanted to hit, was the World War II bit. And there's lots more down here. So yeah, I'll leave the link. Check it out. It's got some really interesting stuff. Some stuff I can't obviously mention because, it gets into Khazars and things. Interesting stuff. Lots of good videos. So check this out. And I just wanted to quickly show you this as well. This is the Websters 1828 Dictionary. And this is what you get when you put Tartar in. It doesn't have anything for Tartary or Tartaria. But under Tartar, we get, number 1, an acid concrete salt formed from wines, completely fermented and adhering to the sides of the casks in the form of a hard crust. So like teeth, tartar. It is white or red. The white being most esteemed in its crude state. It is much used as a flux in the assaying of ores. Tartar is a supertartrate of potash. It is a compound of tartaric acid and potash, having the acid in excess. Number 2, a Tartar is a person of a keen, irritable temper. And the third and last is a native of Tartary, a corruption of Tartar, they're saying, without the R. Tartar. Latin, Tartarus, hell, not in use. So that's around as well, that this word Tartarus used to mean hell. So, but just looking at this, now this is 1828. So this would have been when they were in full flight, war, trying to discredit and destroy the Tartarian Empire. And as you can see, they're telling you that all Tartars are irritable and ill-tempered people. That Tartar has to do with hell. I'm sure that was introduced. And basically they're just talking about the things that they got from Tartaria, like tartaric acid and all this kind of stuff. So interesting. Again, it's just a good sign that they are trying to wipe them from our history, from our story, the whole Tartar chapter. They want to get rid of it. So there we go. And have a quick look at this.
We all know that we're being monitored online and that massive data mining is being done by governments and private corporations. So how do you protect yourself and your information from prying eyes? Well, I use VirtualShield, and it's a downloadable program that works on your computer and your phone, and it will protect you from any nefarious activity and people trying to get your information and your internet history to put onto their databases. And if you click the link below in the description, you'll get your first month free and also save up to 75% off your first year and get full protection from just $3 a month. And with what's going on at the moment, guys, your personal privacy and protecting your personal information is more important now than ever. So click the link below and get signed up and get protected from just $3 a month.
And I also wanted to show you this. Now, this was sent to me by, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Persia. And it is, I'm not really sure what it is. It's a bit of an anomaly. I'm not sure if you can see it. It is on the screen at the moment. And apparently there's a lot of strange things go on around this area. And there's been sightings of UFOs, sort of a lot of, what do we call it? Deep state kind of activity going on. There's some interesting angled lines. See this? Very interesting, because that's not a small area. And as you can see, these lines go straight through. This is a road. Yeah, they're roads, but look how straight they are. That's bizarre. Did you see it? Look. What is that? Obviously, star 40 looking, not exactly. But you can imagine, if that went in there, it would make it a lot more star 40, but it has these sort of scallops out of it. And the outside is obviously irregular. It's like a polygon, but it's just a regular, lengths of the sides. So it's, we have six-sided here, but that's not a pentagon. And obviously in here, this looks like whatever this is has been built. But also, can you see that when we look at that, see how clear this is and how clear this isn't? If we zoom in here, look at this. Can you see that? Yeah, right? Google Earth shows us everything. So, they've like 10 times the size of the pixels over here, so we get no detail. That's all we get. Okay, but you can see this is obviously some huge kind of infrastructure with what looks like a road going into this center circle, which has a bullseye in it. And then it looks like just sort of, see, got these sort of roads that come out the points. All of these points have roads coming out, and no doubt this main one came out where that point used to be. So I don't know why that is. Oh, actually, that's the whole bit, isn't it? That's the scallop, yeah. But how's that? And that's huge, because this is the town called Rosner. I mean, it's not a big town, but you can see, you know, this is, you know, that's a big church and stuff. And that town is just tiny compared to this thing. I mean, look at that. That whole town would fit in there. So that's big. And with so many things, it's like you can see that, well, you can't really because of the pixelization, but you can see the forest, you know, the vegetation comes right up to the line and then just stops dead on these lines. And because I don't think there's people in there mowing these, you know, and keeping these lines perfect. I think it's just the way it is. You see it everywhere. Different to these, which are farms, and these are fenced, and these are just basically paddocks, and these are just the trees that they've let, you know, that they've, let live, that are bordering the fields. But yeah, look at that. But also, you know, there's sort of geomancy going on here too. This is in France, by the way. Did I mention that? We are in France. So this, look at that. Like, it's got a little right angle bit here, like. And again, this is a huge area. I'm not sure what that is. That just kind of looks like, I don't know. I thought it might be a ploughed field, but now I don't think it is. I mean, they're pretty wide. Very strange, you know, like lines going all through these. See how that's kind of like natural, but this is, I mean, this is obviously being planted, but what's with these lines going sideways? You know, is that stuff that's under the ground, these lines, and that's where things aren't growing? Or is it, you know, like a construction? Is that a brick wall, and so things can't grow or can't grow tall on top of it? Because what's this? I mean, that might just be natural, but that looks interesting. I don't know. What's going on around here? Just lots of strange stuff. I mean, it's probably all some kind of mining industry. I don't know. Bizarre, but you can see by the amount of forest around it too that it looks, you know, it looks like the puppet can't go there, doesn't it? You know, we've got all the farms around and then just all this sort of bushland. And what? We have a chapel in here. Just in the middle of nowhere, you get... it's not going to let us see it. Look at, oops. Okay. There, look at that. Just a random chapel, an old chapel in this clearing. And another sort of random bit of something. Nice rectangle in the ground. Very unnatural. And here again you'll see, is that the same? No, see, that's a different area. So look at this. We've got all these lines here, and like I said, they go through the bush as well. There and there. And then if we come up, go to where the bush is, you'll see they're still there, look. All cut into sections, and the same thing, we've got this circle in the middle, and these radiating lines coming out of it. It's exactly what was here. Circle, radiating lines. I mean, that looks like another one. What is going on there? That's a very big area. And it looks like there's little ruins and stuff everywhere. Should we have a look? Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of 1970s kind of chapel there. I mean, those houses there, that looks like that could be in Fremantle, literally 10 minutes down the road from where I live. We have these exact, and I mean exact, houses. Same windows, same stuff around them. That you know, the same thing, the same long wall with the one window, like they're all through Fremantle. And we are now in France. But again, you can see how big all this geomancy is, because that town's just disappeared. You know, this is a town. You know, it's a little town, but compared to this and these lines, this whole area, bizarre. So there you go, and obviously, as you can see, there's a few star forts in Europe. Now, most of these have been given to me by Victor the Boogeyman, and you'll see that they're everywhere. And what we get here is, you'll see we've got different coloured stars. So in the middle, what we have is the star city, and again, I've shown this before. See all the different angled roads, the old world parts, all these just roads on funny angles is the dead giveaway, you know, the higgledy-piggledy sort of stuff all through here. And you also see the buildings like this with the holes in the middle of them, and no doubt there'll be chapels and stuff down there. Around here, you know, you start to get walls and bastions and things. You can see this is clearly another man-made moat, or, you know, canal. Old world here as well. So it looks like a statue, but see all these buildings? How they've all got these courtyards in the middle of them. And look at this one here on the angle. Dead giveaway of old world buildings. Can we get in here? All right. Now this looks like a pretty big statue. And look at all these buildings. But you see this everywhere, don't we? You know, water features. Water was huge in the old world. They were using it for a lot more than drinking, let's just say that. And on the top of this fountain, you'll see this shape, which we see everywhere, don't we? And just old world buildings. Look at this. And, you know, you see this a lot as well. That used to be one doorway, I would think. And they just sort of fill them in. You see this a lot too, where the bottom story seems to be a lot larger than the stories on top. But just look at that. Look at the work in there. Woohoo. Look at the lengths they went to just, you know, we think just to make it look a certain way, but I'm sure it wasn't just for looks. And look at that straight ahead. Look at that old building. And this is that angled building, and, you know, we see a lot of these as well. There's one in New York. These funny angled buildings. And again, just look at the symmetry, how they go from these, you know, rectangle windows, then they get up to the corner and they change it to these triple windows, and they have these round windows back to doubles, but it all fits in perfectly. It's just amazing architecture. So yeah, so this is Helsinki, aren't we? We're in Helsinki, I believe. I hope so. Just trying to get a look at this thing up there. Let me go anywhere. Oh, here we go. We're going to run into people. Yeah, look at this thing. And this is another one of those angled buildings. But look at the dome on the top. All copper work all the way along. And again, this is one of those buildings, you see this a lot, and it may just be the way they've been refinished, the way they've done the facades, but they literally look like there's an old building and then they've built on top of it and then they've built on top of that. But Martin was talking about stacking as well. and stacking like different shapes and different metals and things to create energy and harmonics and frequency. And were they stacking buildings? Is this some kind of stacking? See how it's different? I don't know. There's another nice big... I mean, just look at this square. There's another dome there. And also look at the size of the square. That they used to have these in all the old world cities. Just space. And, you know, now we just have these city little roads for cars everywhere. So there we go. So I just thought I would show you that. Just a few different bits and pieces about Tartaria. But you can see there how I'm talking about the different shaped buildings and the angles. I mean, that is perfect example. And the courtyards as well they have inside all these buildings. Man-made shorelines. Buildings right up on the shore. In here again, all these funny shaped buildings. So this is just one massive star city. And as you can see, this is why we came in, wasn't it? I got distracted for the star, and you'll see around these stars. See, there we go. That's an old cavalier, is that what they're called? But you know, at the point of a star fort. And so what we see in these star cities is we get the city, and then they're surrounded by this outer wall. Well, what was an outer wall? We see, you know, remnants of them. But I'm sure there's a lot more underground. But here's another one here. Can you see the shape there? And that one looks like it's completely underground. I mean, that was some good hunting there by Victor. So this is what we see in this world we seem to have inherited. It used to be a world of star cities. You can see another one here. And if you look in Wikipedia, they tell you there's about 20 or 30 of these things on the Earth. And as you can see, there's a few more. And they're everywhere. This is just Europe. They're in the Americas. Found a few in Australia. But they want to tell us all that all of these star forts were built by the Spanish and French between the 15 and 1700s. And they're literally everywhere. And of course, Google trying to hide most of them, no doubt. So there we go. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Went a bit further than a bit longer than I thought we would. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Bit of a look at a few different things, a few different questions. So leave me some comments. Please like, share, hit the bell. And have a marvelous day. And I shall catch you on the next upload. Bye for now.